Hey y'all, welcome to Facing the 50s. My name's Deanne. Today I'm going to share with you the first 10 things I would purchase if all of my makeup disappeared. So this tag has been going around YouTube for years and I've seen it start to make a resurgence lately, and so it interested me and I thought I would do it. So here's a few things about the way that I did it. First, this is a non-Seint version. So if you followed my channel, it would probably be fairly easy for you to figure out which Seint products I would purchase. So I'm putting that off the table. This is a non-Seint version. Secondly, this is makeup only. A couple of product or one product that you may think is skincare, but I consider it makeup. Most of the time when people are doing this, they're not including brushes in their tin or skincare. So it's pretty much makeup only. And then the third thing, I've tested these over the past 6 weeks because as I was starting to make my list, I wanted to make sure that if it was something I was going to tell you would be the first thing I would go out and purchase, then I really wanted it to be. I wanted it to give me the coverage I wanted it. I wanted it to give me the longevity that I wanted. So I wanted to truly give you products that I thought worked well. And so over the past 6 weeks, I have been testing these, and I'm glad I did because my initial thoughts have changed slightly and made this list better than it was to start with. So if you're interested in seeing which ones are in my top 10, just keep watching. All right, so the very first thing, and this is one that when I was originally making my list, I thought I was going to skip. I was not going to get a foundation primer because I've never truly been one that was sold on foundation primers, never thought I needed one. However, as I was testing and with the foundation that I've landed on, I needed a primer. So the primer that I would get is the Good Molecules Silicone-Free Priming Moisturizer. This is the best kept secret out there. I had seen it on an Instagram post or two, but hadn't really thought much about it. And so for some reason, it came across my feed again, and I was placing an Ulta order, and I thought, okay, I'll pick that up and see. Because I'm always interested in silicone-free, because I'm not crazy about that slippy feel that you get with silicone primers. And if you love it, great, but it's just not for me. So I've tried this and absolutely love it. And what I love about it is it's moisturizing, but it makes your makeup so smooth, especially the foundation that I chose for my 10. So this would be the primer I would pick. And y'all, it is like $12. It may have been $16, but I'm pretty sure it was only $12. You can check Ulta or the Good Molecules website, but that would be the primer I would pick up. So then to foundation. So I started pulling out my liquid foundations and I started playing with them, tested them with the primers and without, all of that jazz. And I found one or two that would be okay, that I could wear, right? But I wasn't really in love with them. And then I thought, it's been a long time since I played with a powder foundation. So I pulled out my good old trusty Bare Minerals Original. And y'all, when I tell you I have had a love-hate relationship with this product for years, I mean it. Because I've wanted to love it, but I hated it. Every single time I would try it. Now I've tried it, it seems like every couple of years. I'm like, yep, this is the year that Bare Minerals is going to work for me. And so I'd buy the kit and 3 or 4 different colors and the whole shebang, and then it just wouldn't work. I couldn't get the coverage. And it looked thick, it looked cakey, it looked shiny. So all of those things that just made me think, okay, it's just not for me. I just can't do it. And then I started watching some videos, and there's a young lady on here, her name's Shelby Wilson, I believe it is, and I'll link her channel below. She used to work for Bare Minerals. Like, she is the Bare Minerals queen. She knows her stuff. And so I watched some of her, how-to videos, and I really found out that I was probably applying it wrong and using a tool that wasn't the best. So I had bought their tool. I bought their, I don't know what it was called then, some brush that they had, but it was a goat hair brush, and I didn't like it because it scratched my face. So I certainly wasn't buffing it in like I should. But here's what I think made the difference. They now have, this is what I wish they'd had years ago, they now have a beautiful finish brush, and you can see mine is well used at this point because this was almost white, and it's pretty dense, it's so soft, and I think this right here is what makes the difference on being able to buff this into your skin, because you have to buff and buff and buff and buff and buff until you think you can't buff anymore, and that's what helps the minerals turn almost creamy on your skin. And so I have not had that thick look, I have not had that cakiness, and honestly I have not had that shininess. So I think I was just leaving too much of the powder on the surface of my skin rather than buffing it in. I've really enjoyed playing with this over the past 6 weeks. And it's what I have on today. Actually, everything that I'm showing you today is what I have on. And if you're interested in me doing a tutorial of the look using these, just drop that below because I'd be happy to do it. And again, so I'm not counting this brush in the 10 because those are all makeup products, but I would use that to go with the Bare Minerals. Okay, so next, concealer. And I've actually found 2 or 3 that I think really work well. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with Makeup Forever Full Cover concealer, because you can dab just a tiny little bit under your eyes, and I can even use it on my eyelids as well. And it stays, it looks good, doesn't crease, all that jazz. So this would be the one I would pick. In testing all of these, like I said, I did find I've got probably 4 over there that I think are really good, especially for mature eyes, because they didn't crease and they looked natural. So I can actually do a separate video on just concealers to use under the eye, but this is the one I would probably pick, and I am in the color 06 if you are curious there. So that would be my concealer. All right, moving on. So that takes care of my primer, that takes care of my foundation, that takes care of my concealer. Now to eyes. The number one thing that I would purchase, and some of you are probably already guessing this, is the Smashbox 24-hour Photo Finish Eyeshadow Primer. I have to have an eyeshadow primer. My eyes, even though I've got dry skin, I've got oily eyelids, and they just eat eyeshadow. So this would be a no-brainer. It would definitely go on the list. All right, then moving to eyeshadow, and this is where I had a little more trouble because I wanted a palette that, one, had a good black in it because I needed it for an eyeliner, and I wanted one that I could get a few different looks out of, and I needed one that had a transition color. And you wouldn't think that would be that hard to find, and it seemed like I could find 2 of the 3, but I couldn't get all 3 things. So I've actually got 3 different palettes that I would show you, and they're similar, but you'll see why. So if I could only get one, I would get this one. And I know I may get some flack on it because it's an expensive palette, but you know what? If I'm only going to have one, let it be a good one. And it is the Viseart Grande Pro, and it's the most recent one that they just come out with. Let me move this little plastic cover here that's got those expanded midtones in it. I could do any eye look I need to do with this. I've got my all over lid colors. I've got some transition colors here. I've got dark colors I could use for liner. I've gotten to where I love using a black liner and then just putting a little bit of blue on top of it as well. So this would be the palette if I could only have one. And talk about quality, I just don't think you can beat Viseart matte quality. So it would be the one I would purchase. Now, if money were an object and I couldn't get that, what I would get is one that is similar to either the Tarte Tartelette, the first one, the OG, the oldie but goodie, that's got a row of, neutrals, or a row of warms, a row of cools, and a row of neutrals. It's got the black in it. It's got a couple of mid-tone shades I could use in my crease, so I could do looks with this one just as well for quite a bit less money. All right, and the third one that's very similar would be this little Smashbox. I can't hold it up straight here. The little Smashbox, what are they called? Cover Shot. And this one is just a matte eye palette. So again, I've got that good black, I've got my mid-tone, I've got my all-over color, and I can do sort of a neutrally brown look or a pinky rosy look. So I could absolutely make it on any of those 3. If I only get to choose one, I'm choosing my Viseart, but I like all of those 3. They perform beautifully. So we got that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My 6th product would be mascara. So I have to have a mascara. I typically like the CoverGirl Lash Exact. I'm having a harder time finding it, and I actually got this one in a little gift not long ago, and so I've been using it this past month, and it's the Clinique High Impact Mascara. I think it works just fine, so I would put one of those 2 mascaras in there. For brows, I would go with Benefits Goof Proof, and this is Goof Proof Brow Pencil. This is the one that's not quite pointy. It's a little bit, let me screw that out a little bit and pull it up here. It's got a little bit of an angle there on the end, so that you can kind of shape as you go. The reason I like this one a tiny bit better than the one that's like a pinpoint or a dot point is I noticed since it's a creamy formula and it transfers to your, or at least it does for me, transfers to my skin pretty easily, I could find places where I didn't blend it and I'd have like lines, and anyway, so it's probably user error, but this one's a little easier for me to use. And the other thing I even did with it was I took an eyeshadow brush that was meant to be used with pomade, and I just tapped it along the edge there and used it to do my brows, and that really turned out well. So love my Benefit. I go with Benefit over Anastasia because Benefit has a gray. I do have a few Anastasia products that I kind of rotate in and out, but this one is the one I keep going back to because their gray works well for me. So there we go. All right, so 3 more products here. On to blush. So there are so many. There are so many blushes, and trying to pick one blush out of everything was so hard. But what I narrowed it down to was one that I know lasts all day. I can wear it with pretty much any look that I'm doing, and it's one that I don't hear talked about. And it's this little, you can see the reflection in the kind of, you can also see my fingerprints on it in the glass mirror. It's a Jane Iredale blush, mineral blush, and this one is in the color Mocha, and it is, oh y'all, it is just so gorgeous. And again, it's what I have on today. Let me put a little bit of it here for you, but just such a beautiful natural color. A little bit, I think it's described as a pinky brown, and it's just gorgeous on the cheeks. So that would be the one I would purchase there. All right, to bronzer. Now this is where, these may not be my favorite products out of everything, but it's what I had to pick to be able to get a full face, because there's probably, I don't know, I mean, I like this one, but I don't know that it's my favorite bronzer ever, but I'll tell you why I picked it. So the bronzer that I picked was Charlotte Tilbury. Let's see what the Film Star Bronze and Glow. And this one is fair to medium. So you can see it's got a bronzer and a highlighter part, and that's why I picked it. So I needed a bronzer, but I also wanted a highlight, not necessarily for my cheeks because I can do without that. But what I have gotten so used to is having a little bit of shimmer, and I'll call it sophisticated shimmer because this is not glittery whatsoever. So what I will do, I'll just take my pinky, get a little bit on my pinky, and I'll put just a little bit of it right here on the inner corner, and it just brightens that up. And since my eyeshadow palettes were all matte, I needed something with that shimmer in it to be able to do that. So that's why I picked the Bronze Stars, is that it? Film Star Bronze and Glow. The reason I say it's not necessarily my favorite bronzer, I'd like one just a hair deeper, and maybe if I got the next color down, then that would work. But anyway, it works really well, just wish it were a little bit deeper. So that would be my 9th product. And then I'm to lips. So I've taken care of my whole face and I get to lips. And I'm thinking, one product, I can't get a lip liner and a lipstick and all of these things like I want to do. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to get one of the good old Clinique Chubby Sticks. And this one is in the color number 13, Mighty Mimosa, and it is gorgeous. So let me swatch a little. And this is not one of the intense ones, so it's not like a full opaque lip, which is fine because that's exactly what I want. But look. So I put a little of that on. It's moisturizing so that I don't have dry lips, and gives me just a little bit of color. And these come in all sorts of different colors. So you could pick one that's more intense if you want to. You can pick one that's more pink if you want to. This is like right in the middle between pink and peach, and I think it's just beautiful. So that's what I would top it off with. So those are the 10 things that I would purchase first to be able to get a full face. So I'm interested, let me know down below, do you use any of these? Or is there something else that you would suggest in place of? Is there something you like better? So anyway, I appreciate you spending a few minutes with me here today. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye.